The night he walked out, his words cut deeper than any blade. "You're old, boring. I need someone who makes me feel alive again," he said, suitcase in hand, as their teenage daughter watched in silence. Within weeks, he was flashing his new life online.
Where are we going for
A
dinner?
younger woman on his arm,
I don't know. You
expensive
choose.
vacations, parties, and taunts that she'd never measure up. He erased their years together like she was nothing more than a chapter he regretted. 5 years later, a knock echoed at her door. Standing there was his daughter, eyes red and swollen. Her voice trembled. "Please, he needs you. You're the only one who can save him." The same man who abandoned her was now at the mercy of the woman he once humiliated. What do you think happened next? Hello, family. Welcome back. Before we begin, I have a small but heartfelt request. Please subscribe. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. Every time you click that button, you're helping us share voices that would otherwise be forgotten and stories that deserve to be heard. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from, because together, we are not just telling stories, we are keeping hope alive. The night began like any other. The smell of roasted chicken filled the kitchen. Soft jazz played from the speaker, and the lights glowed warm against the polished marble counters. Emily Carter was setting the table, humming under her breath, smoothing the same napkin 3 times out of habit. It had been a long week. Daniel had been working late, again. She told herself it was just business, that he was building something big, as always. That's what she used to admire about him, the ambition, the fire. But lately that fire didn't warm her anymore. It burned her instead. She glanced at the clock. 9:42 p.m. The food was cold now. The wine glass across from her sat untouched. When the front door finally opened, she felt relief. Then something else. Something heavy and cold. Daniel walked in wearing his favorite gray suit, tie loosened, hair slicked back. But it wasn't the suit that caught her eye. It was the faint shimmer on his collar, a smudge of lipstick the color of blood, and the scent, sweet, sharp perfume, nothing she owned. "Hey," Emily said softly, trying to sound casual. "You're late." He didn't answer right away. He threw his keys on the counter, loosened his tie, and poured himself a drink. "Had a meeting," he said finally. His tone was flat, like he was bored already. "Till almost 10? She asked. He sighed. "Emily, please." "I'm tired." Don't start. Her heart squeezed. But she forced a smile. "I'm not starting anything. I made dinner." Not hungry. He took a long sip of whiskey and leaned against the counter, scrolling on his phone. The silence stretched until it cracked. Emily swallowed hard. "Daniel, who is she?" That got his attention. His thumb froze mid-scroll. Slowly he looked up. "Excuse me?" "The perfume," she said quietly, "and the lipstick on your collar." For a moment he just stared at her. Then he let out a short, sharp laugh. "You've been watching too many shows again." "Don't do that," she said. Her voice trembled. "Don't make me feel crazy." He slammed the glass on the counter, the sounds shattering the stillness. "What do you want from me, Emily?" "A confession? You want me to say it so you can cry and play the victim again?" Tears stung her eyes, but she stood her ground. "I want the truth." He smiled, a cruel, tired smile. "The truth? Fine. You're old. You're boring. I can't breathe around you anymore." Her throat closed. "Daniel, I made you someone," he snapped. "You were a waitress when I met you. You didn't even have your own car. Everything you have, I gave you. And now I need something different, someone who makes me feel alive again." The room went silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Emily's knees weakened. "After everything, after all we built, you can say that?" He shrugged, cold as marble. "Things change. People change." A voice came from the stairs. "Dad?" Both turned. Lily stood there in her pajamas, her long hair messy, eyes wide. Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Go back to bed, Lily." She didn't move. "What's happening?" "Nothing," Emily whispered, her voice shaking. "Go upstairs, honey." Daniel grabbed his phone and jacket. "No, it's something," he said. "It's the end of this circus." "I'm done pretending." Emily's heart broke right there. "Daniel, please." Not in front of her, but he was already heading toward the door. He pulled a suitcase from the hallway, packed and ready. That's when she realized this wasn't sudden. He'd been planning this. Lily gasped. "Dad, what are you doing?" "I'm leaving," he said simply. "I'll be at the condo." "Don't call me tonight," Emily stepped forward. "You're walking out on your family?" He turned to face her, eyes cold and sharp. "Family? You mean you and the girl who barely talks to me anymore? You made that happen, Emily. You turned her against me. That's not true." But he was already at the door. He looked back one last time, and the final words he said would echo in her head for years. "You're a charity case, Emily. I built you up. Without me, you're nothing." Then he was gone. The sound of the door slamming was the sound of something breaking that could never be repaired. Lily started to cry. Emily stood frozen, hands shaking, her chest tight like she couldn't breathe. She wanted to scream, to run after him, but her feet wouldn't move. "Mom," Lily whispered, "why is he doing this?" Emily turned slowly toward her daughter. Her face was pale, her voice hollow. "Because your father stopped loving me a long time ago." For 2 days, the house was silent. Daniel didn't call, he didn't text, but the world did. By the third day, the whispers started. Someone tagged Emily in a photo on Facebook. Daniel and a woman half her age smiling on a yacht. The caption read, "New beginnings. When you find real happiness, you just know." The woman's name was Vanessa Miller, 26, the new marketing head at Daniel's firm. She had a perfect smile and a perfect body and a habit of posting everything. By the next week, their photos were everywhere. Vanessa laughing in his arms, dinners, parties, a luxury trip to Miami. Daniel commented under one picture, "Finally living, not just surviving." Emily sat on her couch, staring at her phone, scrolling through the posts like she was watching her own life being deleted in real time. Her phone buzzed with messages from old acquaintances. "Are you okay? Did you see what he posted? So sorry, hun. But maybe it's for the best." They all said the same thing, but none of them called twice. When she went to the grocery store, people looked away. Some pretended not to see her. Others whispered, their pity sharp as knives. She smiled anyway. She always smiled. But inside, she was bleeding. One evening, her best friend Laura came by, holding takeout and a forced smile. "Em, you have to eat something," Laura said gently, setting the bag down. Emily shook her head. "I'm fine." "You're not fine." Silence. Then Emily said quietly, "He looked me in the eye and said I was nothing." Laura's face hardened. "He's a fool. You carried that man through every storm. He just forgot who built the boat." Emily tried to laugh, but it came out like a sob. "He's happy, Laura. Look at him. He's glowing. He's finally free." Laura took her hand. "So what? People glow before fires too." Emily smiled weakly. "That's poetic." "I'm serious. His day's coming. You just can't see it." Yet Emily didn't answer. She didn't believe it. Days turned into weeks. Lily grew colder, angrier. Every visit to her father's condo left her mother a little more alone. One night, after another argument, Lily shouted, "You're just jealous because Dad moved on." The words hit like a slap. Emily didn't yell back. She just said softly, "Someday you'll understand what he really did." Lily stormed upstairs, slamming her door. Emily sat at the kitchen table in silence, tracing the rim of her mug. The house felt too big now, too quiet. She had spent 15 years making it a home, and now it felt like someone else's place. A museum of memories that no longer belonged to her. She thought about selling it, about running away, but she couldn't. Not yet. It was the last piece of her old life. She didn't know Daniel had plans for that too. The letter came on a Tuesday morning. Emily found it wedged between utility bills. A thick white envelope with Daniel's company logo printed on the corner. She frowned, opening it slowly. Inside was a formal notice. Eviction. Her hands began to shake as she read the fine print. Effective immediately, the property at 118 Willow Lane will be reclaimed by Carter Developments. The mortgage remains unpaid, as per company ownership terms. Her vision blurred. She read it again and again, hoping she misunderstood. But no, Daniel had done it. He was taking the house. The home they built together, the home where Lily took her first steps. She picked up her phone and dialed him with trembling fingers. He answered on the fourth ring, his voice smooth and calm, the way it always got when he was about to do something cruel. "Emily," he said, like her name was a formality. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "You're evicting me?" "This house is ours, Daniel," he sighed, bored. "Technically, it's owned by the company. You signed those papers years ago when I refinanced, remember? Oh, you said it was for taxes, and it was, but now it's a liability. I can't have my name tied to it. I'm restructuring the assets." "Assets?" she repeated. "You're calling our home an asset?" "It is an asset. You're the one turning it into a drama." She went silent for a moment, her heart pounding. "You're doing this to punish me." "Punish you? Please, I've moved on, Emily. So should you." Her breath hitched. "How can you be this heartless?" He chuckled softly. "You always make everything about emotions. Maybe that's why I outgrew you." And before she could respond, the line went dead. By Friday, two men in black jackets arrived with paperwork and boxes. They were polite but detached, the way professionals are when they've done this 100 times. "Ma'am," one said gently, "we'll give you 2 hours to pack essentials. Movers will handle the rest." Emily stared at him blankly. "Movers?" "Yes, ma'am. Mr. Carter's orders." She looked around her living room. The framed photos, the worn couch, the curtains she'd sewn herself, and felt like she was watching her own life being dismantled in slow motion. She moved robotically, filling bags with clothes, jewelry, a few keepsakes. Her hands were steady, but her heart wasn't. Then she heard a car engine outside. She turned and saw him. Daniel's new black Mercedes pulled up in front of the house. The passenger door opened, and Vanessa stepped out, wearing sunglasses and a smirk that could cut glass. Emily froze at the window, watching them walk up the driveway like they owned the place. Daniel had his arm around Vanessa's waist. She was laughing at something he said. It wasn't enough that he'd left. He had to parade it. Her blood boiled. When the doorbell rang, she opened it slowly. Vanessa tilted her head with mock sweetness. "Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry about all this. Must be hard, huh?" Emily didn't answer. Daniel gave a faint smile. "Just checking that everything's moving along. You know, efficiency and all." "You didn't have to come," Emily said coldly. "Oh, I did," Daniel replied. "You'd probably make a scene otherwise." Emily stared at him, then at Vanessa. "You're enjoying this?" Vanessa shrugged. "It's business, sweetie." "Nothing personal," Emily laughed, a hollow sound. "Oh, it's personal. You can wear his ring, sleep in his bed, and take my house. But it's still personal." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Watch your tone, Emily. You're not helping yourself." She stepped closer, her voice low and shaking. "Helping myself? You already took everything I ever helped you build." For a second, he looked away, almost guilty. Almost. Then Vanessa slipped her hand into his, and whatever emotion flickered in him vanished. "Well," Daniel said, "I hope you land on your feet." Emily's eyes burned with tears. "I already have," she whispered. "You just can't see it yet." Rain began to fall that afternoon, slow at first, then heavy, pounding against the roof as if the sky itself was angry for her. Boxes lined the porch. The movers worked quietly, avoiding her eyes. Lily came home from school mid-chaos, stopping dead at the sight of half-empty rooms. "Mom, what's going on?" Emily took a breath. "Your father's reclaiming the house." "What? He can't do that." "He already did." Lily dropped her bag and ran to her room, where strangers were boxing her posters and books. She screamed at them to stop, her voice breaking. "Mom, do something!" Emily walked over and hugged her, even as Lily pushed against her chest. "I can't, baby," she said softly. "We'll find somewhere new." "I hate him," Lily sobbed. "I hate him and that woman." Emily closed her eyes. "No, don't hate them. Just don't be like them." The girl cried harder. "Where are we going to live?" "I don't know yet," Emily whispered, her throat tight. "But we'll be okay. I promise." By the time the last box was loaded, the rain had turned into a storm. Thunder rolled overhead as if the world wanted to drown out the sound of her heartbreak. Emily stood on the driveway, holding a single suitcase, her hair plastered to her face. The movers nodded politely, driving off into the gray. For a moment there was silence, until headlights flashed through the rain. Daniel's car again. He stopped at the curb, window rolling down. Vanessa leaned over from the passenger seat, waving like it was a game. "Need a ride, Emily?" Daniel called out, his tone casual, mocking. Emily just stared at him, rainwater dripping down her cheeks like tears she refused to show him. "No," she said finally. "You've taken me far enough." Vanessa laughed. "Suit yourself. Enjoy the weather." The car pulled away, tires splashing water across her shoes as they sped off. Emily stood there watching their taillights disappear. The house, her house, was dark behind her now. She had nowhere to go. But even as the storm raged, a strange calm settled in her chest. For the first time in 16 years, she was truly alone. And somehow, deep inside that emptiness, a tiny spark of something new began to stir. Not hope, not yet, but something close. The next morning she woke up on Laura's couch, her back aching, her head heavy. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, too bright, too harsh. Laura walked in holding 2 mugs of coffee. "Morning, Sleeping Beauty," she said softly. Emily sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Thanks for letting us stay." "Don't be silly. You and Lily can stay as long as you need. We'll figure it out." Emily took the cup and stared into the dark liquid. "He really did it, Laura. He erased me, like I was just an accident he regretted." Laura sat beside her. "You know what's funny? The louder people brag about being happy, the emptier they are. He's not free, Em. He's infected. Men like him always are." Emily gave a small smile. "You sound like my mother." She was a smart woman then. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Emily said quietly, "I don't even hate him. Isn't that strange? I just feel—" "Nothing," Laura looked at her. "That's not nothing. That's the start of healing." Over the next few days, Emily tried to adjust. She found a small rental apartment, 1 bedroom, old carpet, but affordable. She told herself it was temporary. Lily was withdrawn, barely talking. She spent hours scrolling through her father's social media, silently comparing their lives. One night, Emily walked in on her, crying in the dark. "Lily!" Her daughter wiped her face. "They look so happy. Dad and Vanessa, look at them." She turned her phone to show Emily a picture. Daniel and Vanessa laughing on a beach, arms around each other, golden sunset behind them. Emily forced herself to look. "Pictures lie," she said softly. Lily frowned. "You always say that." "Because it's true." Lily looked away. "I still wish he'd come back." Emily's heart cracked again, the 1,000th time that week. She wanted to tell her daughter that sometimes love is poison, but she couldn't. Not yet. Instead, she whispered, "Someday, you'll see people for who they really are." Weeks passed. The whispers faded. People moved on, but Emily couldn't shake one image. The look on Daniel's face that night. Cold, certain, untouchable. She replayed his words every night before bed. "Without me, you're nothing." But as she sat by her small apartment window, watching the city lights blink in the distance, she whispered to herself, "We'll see about that." Months later, Emily passes by her old street on her way home from work. It's raining again, heavy and relentless. She slows her car as she drives past the house that used to be hers. The front lights are on. She sees Daniel through the window, holding Vanessa close, laughing. But the laughter looks forced now, desperate. Emily doesn't stop. She grips the wheel tighter, a faint, steady smile forming on her lips. Because deep down she knows, his story isn't over, and neither is hers. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give a future to children and women who have been abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing and turning on your notification bell so you never miss a story that matters. Also, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from and how did this story speak to you? 5 years. That's how long it had been since the night Daniel left. since the rain, since the sound of a slamming door that still echoed in her dreams. In 5 years, Emily Carter had learned the art of silence, the kind that doesn't hurt anymore, but hums like a dull ache in the background. She taught English at a small community school now, tucked behind a laundromat and a grocery store. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. Her students were kids from broken homes, single mothers trying to pass GEDs, old men learning to read again, people who had fallen, like her, but still showed up. Every morning she arrived early, carrying a thermos of coffee and a folder full of lesson plans. She smiled at everyone, even on days she didn't feel like it. If anyone asked about her past, she said, "Life changes. You just adjust." That was her way of saying, "Don't ask." Her small apartment had become a sanctuary, books stacked neatly, old photos packed away in boxes, and a single plant on the windowsill that somehow refused to die. Lily rarely visited. Her daughter was 21 now, studying business at a university Daniel paid for. Emily didn't mind that he helped. It was for Lily, not him. What hurt was how distant Lily had become. The calls grew shorter, the visits rarer, and when she did come by, there was always tension hanging between them, thick as fog. Emily blamed herself for some of it. The rest she blamed on Vanessa. That woman had done what all good manipulators do, rewritten the story. According to the world, Emily had been jealous, bitter, and unstable. A woman who couldn't handle her husband's success. Daniel and Vanessa had been the poor souls who found love after tragedy, and people believed it. They always believed the prettier version. On a Tuesday afternoon, Emily was erasing the whiteboard after class when she heard a voice behind her. "Excuse me, do you need help with those boxes?" She turned and saw a man about her age, maybe a little older, tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes and a faded suit jacket. He was holding a stack of donated books. "Oh, thank you," she said. "Just put them over there." He did, then smiled. "You're Miss Carter, right?" "Emily." She nodded cautiously. "Yes. I'm Michael Reed. I started volunteering here last week. I help with the adult literacy program." "Oh, right. I think I saw your name on the board." He grinned. "That's me." Failed lawyer turned community worker. Long story. She laughed a little. It had been a long time since a stranger made her laugh. They talked while packing supplies. He was smart, funny, and direct. The opposite of Daniel's polished arrogance. When she mentioned her students, his eyes softened. "You build people up," he said quietly. "Even after they broke you." Emily froze. "What makes you think I was broken?" He smiled gently. "Just a guess. People who smile like you usually have scars under the skin." She didn't answer. But that night, those words wouldn't leave her mind. Days turned into weeks, and Michael became part of her world, showing up early, fixing the copier, staying late to talk. He never asked about her past, and she never offered. One evening, as they were locking up, he said, "I noticed something. You never say your ex-husband's name." She looked at him. "You notice too much," he shrugged. "Lawyer habit. You don't have to tell me, but does he still have that much power over you?" Emily exhaled slowly. "He doesn't." Not anymore. That wasn't entirely true, because somewhere inside, Daniel's voice still echoed. "Without me, you're nothing." At home, she had a box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were folders, flash drives, and printed emails. Little pieces of a life she'd quietly collected. Old bank transfers Daniel forgot to erase from their shared accounts. Email threads between him and investors, full of arrogant promises. Documents with her name attached to company assets she never agreed to. She didn't know why she kept them. Maybe it was habit. Maybe it was the only proof that she hadn't imagined the betrayal. Sometimes she told herself she was saving them, just in case. But deep down, she knew. She was saving them for him. Then came the rumors. It started as whispers in town. That Daniel Carter's empire wasn't as shiny as it looked. Someone at the community center mentioned layoffs at his company. Another said a client had pulled out of a major deal. Emily tried not to care, tried not to listen, but every time his name came up, her chest tightened. Then one afternoon, Laura called. "Em, have you heard?" "Heard what?" Laura lowered her voice. Vanessa's been stealing from him. I mean real money. She and one of his partners are moving funds offshore. My cousin works at the bank. He says Daniel's in deep trouble. Emily's heart skipped. Are you sure? Positive. She's been playing him for months. Word is he doesn't even know yet. Emily sat down speechless. The same woman who destroyed her was now destroying him. Laura sighed. I shouldn't be saying this, but part of me thinks it's karma. Emily whispered. No, it's just life. But inside she wondered if maybe, just maybe, God really did keep receipts. A week later, she saw Vanessa on a local news clip, smiling at a charity gala, Daniel by her side. But he didn't look the same. His face was drawn, his smile forced, his eyes tired. She stared at the screen. Something in her chest twisted. Pity? Satisfaction? She couldn't tell. Maybe both. Months passed. Michael and Emily grew closer. Not romantic, not yet, but something honest and warm. He brought her coffee on Mondays, joked about her terrible handwriting, and sometimes joined her on walks home. One evening, while they were stacking chairs, he said, You ever think about starting over? Like really starting over? She smiled faintly. With what? I barely have a savings account. I don't mean money, he said. I mean you. You're smart. You could open your own tutoring center or do consulting. You don't need anyone's permission. Emily thought about that all night. The next day, she bought a notebook and wrote at the top of the first page, New start, ideas. It wasn't much, but it was something. Lily called less and less. When she did, her tone was clipped and distant. One night, Emily tried to bridge the gap. Honey, how are classes? They're fine, Lily said flatly. Are you seeing your dad much? Sometimes. He's been busy. Vanessa? Lily hesitated. She's around. Look, Mom, I have to go. I'll call later, okay? But later never came. Emily stared at her silent phone and whispered, You used to tell me everything. Weeks later, another call came, from Laura again. I think it's happening. What? The company. Investors are pulling out. People are suing. Vanessa's name isn't on the staff list anymore. She's gone. Took half the money and ran. Emily felt her breath catch. Daniel? No one's seen him in days. That night, Emily dreamed she was standing in the rain again. Only this time, she wasn't crying. She was watching him drown in the same storm he left her in. 2 days later, her phone rang again. But this time, the name on the screen made her heart stop. Lily, she answered quickly. Lily. Sweetheart? There was no greeting, just a shaky voice. Mom? Emily's heart raced. What's wrong? Can I come over? Of course. Are you okay? But Lily had already hung up. An hour later, Emily heard a knock. She opened the door and froze. Lily stood there, soaked from the rain, her eyes red and swollen, her hands trembling. Mom! Her voice cracked. It's Dad. Emily's stomach dropped. What happened? He's sick, Lily whispered. Really sick. The doctor says it's bad. His heart, his stress, everything. And he's asking for you. Emily's lips parted, but no sound came. He keeps saying your name, Lily continued, her voice breaking. He's begging for you. The room spun. For a long moment, Emily couldn't speak, couldn't move. Then finally she whispered, After everything he did, he's asking for me? Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Mom, she said, pleading now. Please, he needs you. Emily looked at her daughter, the same daughter who once blamed her for everything, and realized something had shifted. This wasn't just about Daniel anymore. It was about closure, about power, about seeing the ghost that had haunted her for 5 years. Face to face. She took a deep breath. Okay, she said quietly. Take me to him. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and silence, that cold kind of silence that clings to grief. Emily walked through the sliding doors beside Lily, clutching her purse like it was armor. She hadn't been in a hospital since Lily's birth. Everything about the place, the white walls, the hum of machines, the echo of footsteps, made her uneasy. Lily walked fast, her shoulders tense. "He's in room 312, she said quietly. Emily nodded but didn't speak. Her mind was spinning. She'd replayed this moment 1,000 times in her imagination. In every version, she was stronger, colder, ready to throw his cruelty back in his face. But now, walking toward him, she didn't feel powerful. She felt tired. They stopped outside the door. "Mom," Lily whispered, "he doesn't know I came to get you." "He's been asking for you since last night," Emily swallowed. "How bad is he?" Lily looked down. "Bad." For a second, Emily almost turned around. She could leave right now, vanish the way he once did. But something deeper pushed her forward. Not love, not pity, something harder to name. She took a breath and opened the door. The man lying in the hospital bed barely resembled Daniel Carter. His skin was pale and waxy. His hair, once perfectly styled, was gray and thin. Tubes snaked around him. Machines beeped softly. He looked smaller somehow, like the arrogance had drained right out of him. When he saw her, his eyes widened in disbelief. "Emily?" His voice cracked. "You came." She stood frozen at the doorway. "You asked for me?" He tried to smile, but his lips trembled. "I didn't think you'd actually come." "I almost didn't." Lily moved closer to the bed. "Dad, don't talk too much," the doctor said. He waved her off weakly. "I'm fine." Then his eyes went back to Emily. "You look older." She raised an eyebrow. "So do you." A faint laugh escaped him, dry and fragile. "Fair enough." She stepped closer, but not too close. "What happened to you, Daniel?" He sighed. "Everything." There was a long pause. Only the monitor beeped between them. Finally, he said, "She left." "Vanessa took the money, took my friends, took everything." Emily tilted her head. "You sound surprised." He looked up at her, ashamed. "I deserve that." "Yes," she said quietly. "You did." Lily glanced between them, uncomfortable. "I'll get some water." She slipped out, leaving them alone for the first time in years. Daniel stared at his hands. "I don't even know where to start. How about an apology?" He nodded slowly. "You're right. I owe you that." "No," she said. "You owe me a lot more than that. But start there anyway." He took a shaky breath. "Emily, I was cruel, arrogant. I thought money made me untouchable. I thought I could replace you with someone younger, prettier, more exciting." "You did," she said. "At least for a while." He closed his eyes. "Yeah, for a while." Her voice stayed calm, but her eyes burned. "Do you remember what you said to me? The night you left?" He hesitated. "No." She leaned forward. "You said, 'You're a charity case. Without me, you're nothing.'" He flinched. "God, I said that?" "Yes. And I believed it for years." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I was wrong." Emily let the silence hang. She wanted him to sit in it. Finally, she said, "You didn't just break a marriage, Daniel. You broke a family. You made our daughter hate me." He swallowed. "I know." Vanessa twisted things. I let her. It was easier than facing what I'd done. "She didn't twist them," Emily said. "You handed her the knife." Daniel looked down, voice shaking. "I'm sorry." She laughed bitterly. "Sorry doesn't fix the years I spent trying to convince Lily I wasn't the villain in your little story." He wiped at his face. "I didn't think you'd ever forgive me. But I had to try. I'm sick, Emily. The doctors say it's bad. Stress, heart failure, whatever name they give it. It's killing me." She crossed her arms. "And now you want comfort from the woman you destroyed?" "I just wanted to see you," he whispered. "One more time. To tell you, I still think about you. Every day. Do you expect me to feel sorry for you?" "No," he said softly. "Just not to hate me." Emily's jaw clenched. "I don't hate you, Daniel. I outgrew you." That hit him harder than a slap. The door opened. Lily came back in, holding a paper cup. Her eyes darted between them. "Everything okay?" Daniel nodded weakly. "We're talking." Emily stood up. "I should go." "Please," Daniel said quickly. "Stay a little longer. I want to make things right." She turned toward him. You can't make things right. Some damage can't be undone. Then at least let me explain, he pleaded. Explain what? That you left me for a woman who robbed you blind? That the empire you built on lies finally came crashing down? What could you possibly explain that I don't already know? He lowered his head. I ruined everything because I thought I could buy happiness. And? He looked up. Turns out, happiness doesn't take credit cards. For a moment, Emily almost smiled. Almost. You always had a smart mouth. He chuckled weakly. You used to like that about me. I used to like a lot of things about you, she said. That doesn't mean they were good for me. Lily set the cup down and sat beside her father. Dad, you need to rest. He reached for her hand. I miss so much of your life, Lily. I wanted to fix that. Her eyes filled with tears. Then why didn't you try sooner? I was ashamed, and he said, and too proud. The same pride that ruined everything else. Emily watched their hands clasp. A picture of what was almost lost forever. Something softened in her chest, but she didn't let it show. Hours passed. Visiting time was almost over. As Emily turned to leave, Daniel's voice called after her. Emily, there's something else. She hesitated. What? He gestured weakly to the drawer beside the bed. There's a folder. I was going through old company files before I got sick. You should see it. Curious, she opened it. Inside were printed documents, contracts, signatures, financial reports. Her stomach dropped as she recognized her own name at the bottom of several pages. What is this? He sighed. Years ago, when we refinanced, I used your name to authorize some transfers. It was just paperwork. At least I thought so then. But it wasn't legal, and now those documents are part of an investigation. Emily's eyes widened. You forged my signature? He nodded miserably. I didn't mean to drag you into it. I was trying to protect myself, but I ended up ruining my life, she finished for him. He looked at her, tears welling up. I know. She stared at the papers, her hands trembling. You destroyed my reputation, my job, my name, and you're only telling me now? I didn't think it would come back, he said weakly, but they're reopening the files. If they find those, it could implicate you. I wanted to warn you, her voice broke into a whisper. You didn't just leave me, Daniel. You buried me. He tried to reach for her hand. Emily, please. She stepped back. Don't. Lily looked between them, terrified. What's going on? Emily turned to her. Ask your father. He's the reason I lost everything, Daniel groaned, clutching his chest. Please, not in front of her. Emily's anger cracked open, years of pain spilling out. No, she deserves to know. The truth is, your father framed me for financial fraud years ago, so his company wouldn't take the hit. He made me look incompetent at work, ruined my career, and walked away like I was nothing. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Dad, tell me that's not true. Daniel closed his eyes. I thought I was protecting us. Protecting us? Emily snapped. You were protecting your image. He didn't answer. He couldn't. Lily backed away, her voice breaking. How could you do that to her? To us, he whispered. I'm sorry. Stop saying sorry, Emily shouted. Sorry doesn't erase 5 years of humiliation. Sorry doesn't give me back my life. Her voice echoed down the hall. A nurse peeked in, alarmed. Everything okay here? Emily forced a breath. We're fine. Then quieter. We're finally fine. She gathered the papers and slid them into her bag. Daniel's eyes followed her, panicked. What are you doing? Keeping proof, she said coldly. You taught me to never trust anyone without a paper trail. Emily, please don't. She cut him off. Rest, Daniel. You'll need your strength. Then she turned to her daughter. Lily, let's go. Lily hesitated. Mom, Emily's voice softened. You can come back later if you want. I'm not stopping you, but right now I need air. Lily looked torn, then nodded. I'll walk you out. They walked through the quiet corridor in silence until Lily finally spoke. I didn't know, Mom. I swear I didn't. I know, Emily said gently. You were just a kid. He made sure you only saw his version. Lily sniffled. I thought you hated him. Emily stopped walking. No, I pitied him. There's a difference. They stepped outside into the cool night air. The city lights glimmered against the dark sky. Lily turned to her. What are you going to do? Emily looked straight ahead, her expression unreadable. I don't know yet, she said, but for the first time in a long time, the power's in my hands. Later that night, Emily sat at her kitchen table, the documents spread out in front of her. Every word, every forged signature, every lie, all proof of the man who once said she was nothing. Why? You think I'm saving my breath for something important? He said, coughing. It's not like anyone else visits. Lily. She's been busy, he said. Can't blame her. She saw what I really was. Emily stayed near the door, arms crossed. You were always good at disappearing when people needed you. He exhaled slowly. You were always the only real thing in my life, Emily. Her face didn't move. Don't do that. Do what? Say things like that now. You had your chance to mean them. He looked away. I know. A nurse came in to check his vitals. Mr. Carter, your heart rate's a bit high. Try not to stress. He smiled faintly. Too late for that, sweetheart. When she left, Emily stood by the window, the light painting her hair gold. You look stronger, he said. I am, he chuckled softly. Guess I did something right then. You don't get credit for my survival. That shut him up. After a pause, she sat down beside the bed. The hospital needs some of your company papers for insurance, she said. He nodded toward the nightstand. In the drawer? She opened it and sifted through the stack of files. Her hand froze when she saw her own name printed neatly across a line, her signature scrawled beneath it, her handwriting. But she hadn't written it. Her throat tightened. Daniel, what is this? He turned his head slowly. What? She held up the paper. This has my name. My signature. You used me. He looked away. Emily, please. You forged this? He said nothing. Her voice rose, sharp and shaking. You used my name to cover your fraud, didn't you? I didn't mean for it to go that far, he said weakly. I just needed someone I could trust on record. Trust, she snapped. You forged my name. You destroyed my career, my life. I was desperate, he rasped. You think I slept easy after that? I don't care how you slept. The monitor beeped faster. His breath came shallow and uneven. Emily, he gasped. I'm sorry. She stood trembling. You said sorry before. Remember? The night you left, he shut his eyes. Please don't hate me. I don't, she said coldly. You're not worth the energy. The door opened and Lily stepped in with 2 coffee cups. She looked between them, uneasy. What's going on? Nothing, Emily said quickly, tucking the papers into her purse. Your father needs rest. Lily frowned. Mom, you're shaking. I'm fine. Daniel tried to speak, but Emily stopped him. Drink your coffee, Lily. Then go home. Lily hesitated. He wants you to forgive him. Forgiveness isn't a favor, Emily said. It's a release. And I'm not ready to give him that gift. Daniel whispered. She's right. I don't deserve forgiveness. Emily looked at him. Really looked. For years, she'd pictured him as this untouchable man. Now he was small, broken, a man drowning in regret. She stood up. I'll be back tomorrow. You will? He asked. Not for you. For me? That night, she sat at her kitchen table, the forged papers spread before her. She called Michael. He picked up on the second ring. Hey, you okay? You sound tense. I found something, she said quietly. Something big. He listened as she explained how Daniel had forged her signature, used her name to move money, how everything she lost traced back to him. When she finished, Michael said, Emily, you could clear your name. Legally, you could destroy him. I know, she said, but you're hesitating. I don't want to become him. I don't want my life to be about revenge. Revenge isn't the same as justice. It feels the same when you've lived through hell. He sighed. You're not him. That's the difference. She was quiet for a long time. If I expose him, he loses everything. His company, his reputation, maybe even Lily. And if you don't, then he keeps his lie. Truth hurts, Emily, Michael said, but it heals too. She stared at the papers. I'll think about it. The next day, Daniel was asleep when she entered. She sat in the chair beside his bed. He stirred. Emily? I'm here. He opened his eyes. I dreamed you were still angry. Maybe that wasn't a dream. He chuckled softly. I guess I deserve that. Yes, he studied her face. I used to think strength was loud. Money, power, winning arguments. But you got stronger by saying nothing. Silence teaches, she said. If I could go back, you'd do it again, she said. People like you don't change. They just regret the consequences. He flinched. You really think I'm that hollow? You had everything. Love, loyalty, family. You threw it away for applause. He sighed, tears slipping down his temples. And you're still here. I'm not here for you, she said softly. I'm here to see what karma looks like up close. He let out a weak laugh that turned into a cough. Fair enough. The television murmured in the background, the kind of noise hospitals use to fill silence. Emily wasn't listening until she heard the reporter's voice. Vanessa Miller, former business partner of Daniel Carter, has been spotted in Paris with investor Richard Hale. The two are reportedly engaged. Emily turned. There they were, Vanessa, radiant and smug, on Daniel's former partner's arm. Cameras flashed. They looked golden, rich, untouchable. Daniel turned his head toward the screen. His eyes widened. His lips parted. No, he whispered. No, that can't be. The anchor continued. The couple now controls the majority of Carter Holdings' overseas accounts, following recent asset transfers. Daniel's voice cracked. She took everything. Emily's voice was calm. You taught her well. He gasped, his hand clutching his chest. Emily! She didn't move. The monitor screamed, a wild, high-pitched alarm. Nurses rushed in. Code Blue, room 312. Emily stepped back as the team swarmed the bed. Hands pressed down on his chest. Voices barked orders. Machines beeped frantically. Lily's voice broke through the noise. Mom! She ran down the hallway, breathless, terrified. What happened? He saw something, Emily said quietly. Vanessa. What about her? She's engaged. To his old partner, Lily's eyes widened. Oh my God! The doctor shouted, Get the paddles ready! Charge to 200. Clear! The shock cracked through the air. Daniel's body jerked. Emily didn't flinch. Lily turned to her, horrified. Mom, do something! What do you want me to do? Help him! Emily's voice stayed calm. I already did. I showed up. You can't just stand there. This is his storm, Lily, Emily said. Let him feel the rain for once. Lily sobbed, sinking into a chair. The doctor yelled, Charging again! Clear! The sound echoed through the room. No pulse. Emily watched in silence, her face unreadable. There was a time she would have begged God to save him. Now she just watched the man who once called her nothing fight for every breath. Clear! Another jolt. The monitor flickered, a faint blip appearing. He's got a pulse, someone shouted. Lily gasped, half crying, half relieved. He's alive? For now, the doctor said. Stabilize him. Emily turned toward the window. Outside, the sky was gray and heavy. Of course it was. Every storm in her life started with gray skies. Lily took her father's hand. Dad, can you hear me? He didn't answer. His eyes fluttered, unfocused. He's unconscious, the doctor said. We'll move him to observation. Lily turned to Emily. He almost died. He's been dying for years, Emily said. Just not in a way medicine can fix. I'm not cold, she said. I'm finished. You used to love him. I did. And I used to think love meant saving people from themselves. And now? Now I know some people don't want to be saved. The nurse came in. Ma'am, please wait in the hallway while we move him. Emily stepped aside, watching as they wheeled Daniel away. Lily sat, shaking. I can't believe Vanessa did that. She was his reflection, Emily said. He built her in his image. Lily's voice trembled. What happens now? Emily reached into her purse, pulling out the envelope of forged documents. These happen. You're going to turn him in? Maybe. Or maybe I'll just keep them, as a reminder. Of what? that the truth always finds its way home. Even if it hurts, especially then. Down the hall, chaos erupted again. The same doctor ran past, shouting, "He's crashing again." Code blue, room 312. Lily cried out, "Mom!" Emily didn't move. This time, it's between him and God. They reached the doorway just as the team surrounded him again. "Clear!" The shock cracked like thunder. Daniel's chest lifted, then fell still. "Keep going," the doctor shouted. "We're losing him." Emily's eyes stayed on his face, calm, cold, unshaken. Lily sobbed beside her, begging, "Please, Dad, don't die." Emily whispered under her breath, "Everyone faces what they've done eventually." Another jolt, another silence. "Charge to 300, the doctor yelled. "Clear." The sound tore through the air. The machines screamed. The nurses moved fast. Lily's cries filled the hall. "Mom, why aren't you helping?" "Because I already tried for half my life," Emily said softly. She stepped back, standing in the doorway. Through the glass, the doctors surrounded the man who once left her in the rain, now drowning in his own. Her heart didn't race. Her hands didn't shake. All she felt was peace, the kind that comes when the story finally reaches the part where the villain falls. The doctor's voice cut through the noise. "We're losing him. Prepare another dose." Emily didn't blink, and as the doctors rushed in, their voices overlapping, their hands pressing against his chest, Emily Carter stood still, silent as stone, watching the man who once called her nothing fight for every breath he no longer deserved. The world seemed to hold its breath with him. And then, chaos, movement, and shouting. As the doctors rushed in, the sound of the machines was softer now, slower, weaker. Daniel Carter didn't die that night. Not completely. The doctor said it was a miracle. Emily called it something else, a delay. He woke 2 days later, frail and quiet, his voice barely a whisper. The empire that once roared his name had turned to ash outside those hospital walls. And waiting outside the room was a daughter with red, swollen eyes, and a mother who had finally stopped shaking. When Lily saw Emily, she stood, her face twisted in fury. "You just stood there," she shouted. "You watched him die." Emily didn't flinch. "He didn't die." "That's not the point," Lily's voice cracked. "You didn't even try to help. You wanted him to die." Emily looked her daughter straight in the eye. "You're right," Lily blinked. "What?" Emily's tone was steady, calm, too calm. "I wanted him to feel what I felt, powerless. Every time I begged, every time I cried, every time he made me believe I was nothing. I wanted him to know that kind of silence." Tears streamed down Lily's face. "How can you say that?" "Because it's true." Lily shook her head, backing away. "You're not the mom I remember." Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. "No, sweetheart. I'm the one you didn't want to remember." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. The rain was hitting her window again. Always the rain, and her mind wouldn't quiet. The papers she'd taken from Daniel's drawer sat on the table, edges worn from her fingertips. His crimes, his lies, his signature, and hers, forged beneath it. She picked up her phone and called Michael. He answered immediately. "You okay?" "No. Tell me." "I can't keep this to myself anymore," she said. "It's not about revenge anymore. It's about truth." There was a pause, then his quiet voice. "You're ready." "I don't know if ready's the word." "Then do it scared." She smiled faintly. "Always giving lawyer advice." He chuckled. "Old habits die hard. I'll meet you in the morning. We'll take it to the right people." The next day, Emily walked into the downtown courthouse with Michael at her side, and the folder pressed tight against her chest. She handed it to the investigator, her voice calm. "These are records from Daniel Carter's company. Forged documents, financial transfers, signatures that aren't mine. You'll find proof of fraud, forgery, and laundering." The man looked surprised. "You're Emily Carter?" "Yes." "The wife?" "Ex-wife." He nodded. "This could be very serious." "It already was," she said softly. 5 years ago." Michael placed a steady hand on her back as they left the office. You just did something brave, he told her. She exhaled. It doesn't feel brave. It feel final. The story broke within 48 hours. News anchors led with his name, their voices sharp and eager. Real estate mogul Daniel Carter accused of multiple counts of fraud and forgery. Sources say his ex-wife provided key evidence to authorities. Former philanthropist now facing investigation for years of financial misconduct. Emily didn't watch at first, but she couldn't avoid it. His face was everywhere. Headlines, talk shows, social media feeds. Daniel Carter, the fall of a king. The same people who once toasted his success now spoke his name like poison. Neighbors whispered again, but this time, not about her. Did you hear? Emily Carter was right all along. She must have known. Poor woman, he ruined her life. She's stronger than all of them put together. Emily didn't correct them. She just kept walking. A week later, the hospital called again. Daniel was being discharged, straight into custody for questioning. She arrived quietly, standing in the corner as officers spoke to him. He sat in a wheelchair now, his once impeccable suit replaced by a pale hospital gown. His hair was thin, his face hollow. When he noticed her, his eyes filled with something she couldn't name. Shame, maybe, or something close to it. Emily, he said softly. Daniel. They're saying things, ugly things. They're saying the truth. He winced. You gave them the papers. Yes. He nodded slowly. I knew you would. Then why forge my name in the first place? He looked down at his trembling hands. Because I thought I was untouchable. I thought you'd never stand against me. Her voice was low but clear. You were right about one thing. I didn't stand against you. Not then. I was too broken. He met her eyes. And now I'm whole enough to watch you face what you built. He smiled weakly. You wanted revenge? Emily leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. No, I wanted peace, but peace came dressed like justice. He blinked hard, eyes glistening. You sound like someone I used to know. She died, Emily said softly. You killed her. Lily entered just as the officers began to wheel Daniel out. Dad? She said softly. He turned to her, his voice shaking. I'm sorry, baby. She nodded, crying quietly. I know. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back. You always said Mom ruined your life, but you did that yourself. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve you. Lily looked at Emily. Neither of us did. Emily touched her daughter's arm gently. Come on, let's go. As they left the hospital, the sound of Daniel's wheelchair rolling down the hall echoed behind them. Slow, uneven, final. By the end of the month, the scandal had consumed everything. Daniel's company was gone, his accounts frozen, his name, a cautionary tale. Emily, for the first time in years, walked freely through town without whispers trailing her. People nodded at her now, respectfully, even kindly. Michael found her one afternoon sitting in the park, feeding birds like she used to with Lily when she was small. He sat beside her, handing her a coffee. You've been quiet. I've had a lot to think about. He smiled. You got your justice. She nodded slowly. I did, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like balance. He studied her face. And what about forgiveness? She looked out at the sky. Forgiveness is freedom, Michael. I'll get there. Just not today. That night, Lily came home with 2 suitcases. Emily met her at the door, surprised. You're back? Lily nodded, her voice small. I don't want to stay with Dad anymore. Not after everything. Emily stepped aside. You don't need to explain. Lily looked down. I blamed you for years. For losing him. For being angry. But I see it now. See what? That you were never angry. You were surviving. Emily smiled sadly. Welcome home, baby. They hugged, both of them crying. Not from grief, but from the strange relief that comes when a wound finally starts to close. Later that night, after Lily fell asleep, Emily stood by the window again. Rain, soft this time, almost kind. She whispered to herself, it's over. But it wasn't. Not yet, because tomorrow she would do something new, Something good. Something that turned pain into purpose. The courthouse smelled like old paper and dust, the scent of endings. Reporters crowded the marble steps, their cameras flashing like lightning. Voices overlapped. Questions, shouts, chaos. Emily, is it true you turned him in? Do you have anything to say about the charges? Do you forgive Daniel Carter? She said nothing. She simply walked past them, calm, composed, her black coat trailing behind her like a quiet shadow. Michael was beside her, steady as always. You don't owe them a story, he said softly. I know, she replied, but they'll write one anyway. Inside the courtroom, the air was thick with tension. Daniel sat near the front, pale and shrunken in a wheelchair, flanked by two officers. His suit hung loose on his body. His hands trembled slightly as he fidgeted with the edge of his cuff. When he looked up and saw her enter, something flickered in his eyes. Regret, maybe, or resignation. Emily took a seat quietly in the back. She didn't want to be close. She wanted distance, the kind she'd earned. The judge entered. The courtroom rose. Then came the words, the kind that once would have broken her. Now they sounded like balance. Daniel Carter, you are hereby charged with fraud, forgery, and corporate embezzlement. The judge's voice echoed across the room. Daniel's lawyer spoke of stress, of bad partners, of manipulation. He blamed Vanessa, hinted at mental decline, even reached for sympathy. But when the evidence appeared, the forged papers, the bank transfers, the emails, the room went still. Emily's name was on those documents. The proof was undeniable. The judge turned to Daniel. Do you have anything to say before sentencing? Daniel swallowed hard, his voice barely audible. Just one thing. He looked over his shoulder, directly at Emily. I ruined the only person who ever believed in me. Whispers rippled through the courtroom. Cameras clicked. Daniel's eyes didn't leave hers. You were right, Emily. About everything she didn't move, didn't smile, didn't blink. Because this wasn't triumph. It was truth, finally spoken aloud. The sentence was harsh but fair. 5 years in a minimum security facility, followed by permanent disqualification from managing or owning any company. His assets were seized, his reputation gone. When the gavel struck, the sound was sharp, final, absolute. Emily exhaled, her fingers trembling slightly on her lap. Michael leaned close. It's over. She nodded. No, it's balanced. Outside, the reporters swarmed again. Mrs. Carter, any words for your ex-husband? Emily stopped just once and turned to the crowd. Her voice was calm, even soft, but it carried. I don't wish him pain. I wish him time to understand the damage he caused and maybe become something better from it. And with that, she walked away. 2 weeks later, she visited the rehabilitation center where Daniel was being held before transfer. She didn't come for revenge. She came for closure. He was waiting in a small room, sitting by the window in his wheelchair, the late afternoon sun stretching long shadows across the floor. He smiled weakly when she entered. You still visit the dying, huh? I visit the living, she replied. You're not dead yet. He laughed quietly. Feels close enough. She sat across from him, folding her hands. How are they treating you? Better than I deserve, he said. Good. He looked down at his hands. You really did it. You took me down. No, Emily said. You took yourself down. I just handed them the map. He nodded slowly. Fair. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Daniel spoke again. Do you hate me? She thought for a long moment. No, hate is heavy. I'm done carrying you. He closed his eyes. You wanted revenge? She shook her head. No, I wanted peace, but peace came dressed like justice. Daniel's eyes glistened. You were always stronger than me. Emily stood, smoothing her coat. No, Daniel. I just learned to stop bleeding for people who enjoy the sight of blood. He tried to speak, but his voice broke. I'm sorry. She looked at him one last time. I know. But sorry is a door that only opens from the inside. You'll have to walk through it yourself. As she turned to leave, her heels clicked against the tile, echoing down the hallway. Sharp, rhythmic, final. Behind her, Daniel began to cry quietly. For the first time in his life, he was truly alone. A month later, the world had already moved on. Daniel Carter became yesterday's headline. Another fallen man with a golden smile and a trail of broken promises. But Emily Carter had become something else. She used part of her modest settlement and a grant Michael helped her apply for to open the Grace Foundation, a small legal literacy center for women abandoned by their partners. Women who couldn't afford justice but still deserved it. The sign above the door was simple: knowledge is power. On opening day, the hall was filled with people: students, teachers, volunteers. Michael stood at the back, smiling proudly. Lily sat in the front row, her eyes glistening as her mother stepped up to the microphone. Emily took a breath, scanning the faces in the room. She had rehearsed the speech, but in that moment, the words came from somewhere deeper. 5 years ago, I thought my life had ended. I lost my home, my marriage, my name. And for a long time, I thought I'd lost myself too. But sometimes loss isn't the end. It's the beginning of understanding. I used to believe that justice meant punishment. I know better now. Justice is truth, the kind that sets you free, even if it hurts first. Sometimes God doesn't punish through lightning or fire. He simply lets people live long enough to face what they've done. She paused, her voice steady, her eyes shining. So if you've ever been broken, don't rush to fix yourself just to prove you're fine. Stay broken long enough to learn where the cracks are, because those cracks are where the light gets in. The room was silent for a long moment. Then came the applause, soft at first, then swelling into something warm, powerful, and real. Michael stepped forward afterward, handing her a folder. "Your first grant proposal," he said with a grin. Emily smiled back. "Our first." Lily joined them, wrapping her arms around her mother. "I'm proud of you, Mom." Emily kissed her forehead. "I'm proud of us." That evening, when the center emptied, Emily stepped outside alone. The sunset painted the sky in golden rose. She looked up, whispering to the wind. "You said I was nothing, Daniel, but nothing is exactly what you need to start everything again." Then she smiled, small, real, and free. Because grace, she realized, isn't softness. It's strength, dressed in quiet. Betrayal ages beautifully when it ripens into justice. Never destroy the one who once prayed for your success. Because someday, they'll hold the pen that writes your ending.